countries that have been struggling under the weight on millions of refugees, that we cannot do the same level of cash assistance that we have done in previous years. And unfortunately, this is going to happen this year, unless urgently we don't get additional funds now and of course into 2023. I'm fully aware that everybody is struggling, that budgets in donor countries are tight after COVID-19 response to the various impacts of the Ukraine crisis. But, you know, I have to tell you as it is. And unfortunately, the cost is very, very high. Thanks to those who have mentioned access. Access is a very difficult issue in situations of active conflict. I have mentioned access in parts of Ethiopia, but this applies to many other places. I would like to stress this is particularly difficult in areas that are theater of conflict. In Ethiopia, we work in many other parts of the country where, you know, Ethiopia is a very big refugee hosting country, has been for decades, and we work very well where there is no conflict. It's where there is conflict that access is difficult, and this is why I have made a plea for peace talks to succeed quickly so that we can resume the improved access that we had only a few weeks ago. So it is possible when there is goodwill, and that is important for the people who are impacted by conflict. And thank you very much. Many of you mentioned this initiative, if I understand, led by the United States and Ireland on the carve-out. What we need is clarity and flexibility so that we can operate also in difficult, I would say, political circumstances. We need to be everywhere. It doesn't mean that we recognize anybody. This is not our job. Our job, the humanitarian agency doesn't have any function of recognition, but of helping the people. And if we cannot be there, the people cannot be helped. And being there means being interlocutors to whoever controls that territory. That's a fundamental aspect of humanitarian action. And if we have to negotiate too much because, understandably maybe, in that particular situation there are sanctions, then it becomes cumbersome and difficult, and we waste valuable time. So if you can help us, this is really a key area where you can help us as Security Council. And I speak really for all my humanitarian colleagues. This will be invaluable, and it is urgent, if I may make a plea for that. Just to say also, there was, I think it was Mexico who mentioned mental health. You know, this year our executive committee, which is our, I wouldn't say governing body because technically it's not, but it is our main place where we interact with states, had a resolution on mental health. We all recognize that with the very traumatic nature of conflict today, this is a very important aspect of our response. I just want to, before I close, to mention a few specific areas that were also cited by some of you. The US mentioned the need to step up in Somalia. Strongly agree. I think this includes us as well. This is one place where I told my colleagues we need to do more. And I think it's a collective responsibility that we have. The situation is still very bad, although slightly improved in terms of humanitarian assistance. And President Hassan Sheikh, with whom I had a very long conversation, also has as his priority the putting under control the security situation, the insurgency by Al-Shabaab, and I think it is very important from your side to support him in those efforts. On ours, we need to step up in parallel the humanitarian assistance as hopefully more territory becomes accessible to humanitarian workers. Some of you have mentioned the situation in Syria. I did elaborate more on this yesterday at the third committee. I think I am worried about the humanitarian situation also inside Syria, and I agree that we need to step up. There is, I think it's Security Council Resolution 2642 that stipulates that gives us space to do early recovery, and I think we need to do more of that. And I can assure representative of Russia and others that we will continue to talk constructively with the government of Syria to try and remove the obstacles that prevent people from returning. I was in Syria myself not so long ago, a few weeks ago, and I had these are complex discussions, very complex discussions, but important ones that we will continue to have in order to create those conditions, because we must recognize that the burden on neighboring countries is, especially Lebanon, Jordan, Turkey, is very, very, very substantive. But of course, return needs, as many of you have said, to remain voluntary. There was an important mention of the situation in Haiti. I would like to echo that. We are concerned, and we also will appeal in the next few days to all states receiving Haitian, I think it was Ireland, all states receiving Haitians to not to return people to a country that is extremely fragile. I know that Secretary General also has put forward some proposals for the situation in Haiti. It is a very worrying situation at the moment. It is a very complex one, but one that needs your attention, definitely also from our point of view. We will continue to work wherever Ukrainian refugees are present, and they are present in many parts of the world. I'm on my way to Japan. In the next few days, I'm going to meet a Ukrainian refugee community in Japan. So really, it's quite a wide spectrum of countries. We will continue also to work with the Russian Federation in respect of the Ukrainian refugees that are present on its territory. The representative of Russia mentioned that. I would like to highlight that we have a rather small operation in Russia, so very limited access, but we are available to continue to cooperate and to increase the access that we have to people that find themselves in whichever country they are. I would like to support the representative of China, who made many important mentions, including the one of really continuing to try to create conditions for Rohingya refugees from Myanmar to return, and this requires the cooperation of Bangladesh and of Myanmar. For sure, this is a priority file for us. I would like to only flag that, of course, dialogue between the countries, as you stressed, is very important. That alone, however, will not guarantee the return. The conditions where they come from, the discrimination that still prevails, need to be lifted if you want people to go back, because otherwise people who want to go back, they always tell us, will not do it until they fear reprisal, violence, or other situations that they have gone through just a few years ago, as everybody remembers. I am worried about the situation because I think that with the political evolution in Myanmar itself, things have become more difficult. I was a little bit more optimistic before the takeover, the military takeover last year, but we should not give up, and we should continue to insist on this particular one. And thank you, and thanks to India as well. This is outside the mandate of my organization. You know, Palestinian refugees are under UNRWA's mandate, at least in the areas in which they operate. But I would like, if you allow me, to support your call for support to UNRWA. As you know, I was the Commissioner General of that organization before becoming High Commissioner, and I think that what they do is very important in support of Palestinian refugees in the Middle East, and deserves full support, full and sustainable support, even under present very difficult circumstances. I think I have covered all the points. Just to conclude by saying thanks to all of you for having mentioned not only the compact, which remains an important toolbox approved by the General Assembly 4 years ago, and those tools are available to all of you and other countries to improve the response to refugee crisis, to crisis of displacement. I would like to also thank you for having mentioned that the Global Refugee Forum, the first of which we held in Geneva in 2019, we will hold it again at the end of next year. Colombia, France, Japan, Jordan, Niger, and Uganda will be the co-conveners together with UNHCR. It will be co-hosted by Switzerland and UNHCR. And we hope that all of you and other countries will invest in the preparation of this forum, will participate at adequate level. It's a ministerial meeting because it will be an important moment to reflect on all that we have discussed today and to look forward with renewed determination in spite of all the challenges. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank Mr. Grandi for the clarifications he has provided. There are no more names inscribed on the list of speakers. The meeting is adjourned.